We have often been told that happiness is a choice. We all endure limitless pain just to choose this positive emotion. What if I tell you that it can be sometimes an illusion? Why can the things we work so hard to gain, success, love, or even a bit of peace, sometimes leave us feeling empty? Why does more never seem quite enough? When we finally reach a long-awaited goal, maybe a significant promotion, or buy something we've dreamed of for years. But just as quickly, that feeling of accomplishment fades, and we're left wanting something more. The more we chase after happiness, the further it seems to recede. Buddhism would tell us this isn't an accident. Instead, it's part of the human experience, an illusion wrapped up in how we see life itself. This video explores the illusion of happiness, the Four Noble Truths. The Buddhist concept of the Four Noble Truths offers profound insights about happiness. Fading away happiness after accomplishment isn't a random feeling, it's part of a larger cycle many of us find ourselves caught in. Buddhism calls it the illusion of happiness. Let's talk about happiness and why it feels so fleeting. Think back to a moment when you felt truly happy. Maybe it was a promotion you worked hard for, a new relationship, or that dreamy vacation you'd planned. At that moment, everything felt perfect. But soon, that feeling faded, replaced by a familiar restlessness or even a hint of what's next. This isn't unusual. It's something Buddhism explains with a term called suffering, but it's more like a sense of dissatisfaction or unease. Suffering reminds us that as long as our happiness depends on external things, it won't last. Think of it like building a sandcastle on the shore, the tides of life inevitably wash it away. But Buddhism doesn't tell us this to be a downer. Instead, it's more like a gentle reminder, the happiness we chase, like sandcastles, will always slip away if it relies on things outside ourselves. And maybe that's a wake-up call to look within, to see if the peace we're after is closer than we think. This isn't meant to make us feel disillusioned but rather to open our eyes to how we might be chasing happiness in a way that can never fully satisfy us. So why do we suffer? What is the cause behind our dissatisfaction? There are reasons behind our endless suffering that steal our happiness. This brings us to the second noble truth, samudaya, or the origin of suffering. In Buddhism, the cause of our dissatisfaction lies in craving, in desire. Many people believe that wealth is the key to happiness. While financial security can improve quality of life, it doesn't guarantee lasting happiness. The constant desire for more can lead to a sense of dissatisfaction and anxiety. Again, imagine you're diving into your favorite dish, savoring that first incredible bite. Pure bliss. But as you keep eating, the thrill fades, and soon, you're either too full or wondering why that first bite felt so magical. This fading pleasure isn't a flaw in the meal, it's our desire for the joy to stay the same. And it's not just with food, is it? We cling to things we love, our youth, health, achievements, relationships, as if they could stay unchanged forever. But life, as we know, is always shifting. When we grip tightly, hoping to keep things exactly as they are, we set ourselves up for suffering because we're resisting the natural flow of life. The Buddhist view isn't that desire itself is wrong, it's the attachment, the way we hold onto things so tightly, that causes pain. So next time you feel that tug of longing, maybe pause and ask, is this craving helping me? Or am I resisting life's rhythm? That tiny moment of awareness might just bring a bit of peace amidst all the wanting. Did you know there's actually a way out of suffering? Buddhism's third noble truth, nirodha, tells us that we can end suffering by learning to let go. Now, this might sound counterintuitive. We're usually taught to hold tight to what we love, aren't we? But in Buddhism, true peace comes when we loosen that grip. Imagine you're holding sand. If you clutch it tightly, it slips through your fingers, but if you keep your hand open, it gently rests in your palm. Life is a lot like that sand. When we try to control every outcome and attach ourselves to people, objects, and ideas, we create a recipe for suffering. But if we open our hand, our mind, we allow life's beauty to settle naturally, without force. Letting go doesn't mean we stop enjoying life or lose our goals. It's more about embracing life's flow and realizing that joy comes and goes. When we accept that change is part of the deal, we can still cherish the moment while allowing it to pass. Instead of fighting life's natural shifts, we learn to ride them. By practicing this gentle openness, we find happiness that doesn't depend on holding tight but blooms from within, a kind of freedom rooted in accepting what is. the Buddha didn't just identify why we suffer, he also offered a way forward. This brings us to the fourth noble truth, Magga, or the Eightfold Path. Think of it as a toolkit for living a life that minimizes suffering and maximizes inner peace. Each element of the path, like right speech, right action, and right livelihood, is a practical step toward living with mindfulness, kindness, and wisdom. Take right speech, for example. How often have we said something in a moment of frustration, only to regret it later? Right speech nudges us to pause, think, and choose our words thoughtfully. It's about speaking with honesty, kindness, and purpose. Imagine the impact on your relationships and even your self-esteem if you embraced this single practice. The Eightfold Path doesn't mean we must be perfect, it's simply about practicing these principles to build a solid inner foundation. When we follow this path, we start making choices aligned with our values, creating a sense of well-being that isn't tied to anyone else's approval. Instead of feeling weighed down by our words or actions, we find ourselves on a path that brings more integrity, compassion, and calm into our lives. In the end, the Eightfold Path is a roadmap to a more peaceful, meaningful life, one step, one mindful choice at a time. So, how does this Buddhist path tie into our search for happiness? Buddhism doesn't say happiness is out of reach, but it does suggest that the lasting kind we're looking for won't come from chasing pleasure, dodging pain, or clinging to things that don't last. Instead, true happiness blossoms from a place of inner freedom, from letting go of our need for life to be exactly as we want it to be. Think of a lotus flower growing in a muddy pond. The lotus doesn't complain about the mud or try to change its surroundings, it just grows, naturally unfolding into something beautiful. Buddhism invites us to do the same, to find our peace not by escaping challenges but by accepting and growing through them. When we stop clinging and start letting go, we make space for happiness that doesn't depend on perfect circumstances. In this way, the Four Noble Truths guide us to cultivate a happiness that's more like the lotus, rooted, resilient, and open to whatever life brings. As we wrap up, remember that Buddhism doesn't ask you to abandon life's joys, dreams, or the things you love. Instead, it offers a gentle invitation to hold these things lightly, like sand resting in your open palm. Appreciate them when they're with you, and release them when they drift away. Happiness, in this way, isn't about how much we gather but how we relate to what we have. The real illusion of happiness lies in the chase, the grasping, the endless if-only game. True happiness, as the Buddha taught, rests in stillness, in letting go, and in finding contentment within ourselves. Imagine the next time you feel that pull, reaching out for something external to fill a gap inside. What if you paused, just for a moment, and let yourself be? Embracing life's ebb and flow may bring a deeper, steadier peace than anything you could ever get. And that's what the Four Noble Truths offer, not ancient rules, but a pathway to a happiness that's already close, waiting to be noticed in the quiet of this very moment. So, what do you think? Could true happiness be nearer than we imagined, hidden in the gentle art of letting go? Let me know in the comment, and if this video is helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe and thumb up this video. Until next time, thanks for watching.